Hello and welcome to ABC 24 Plus. I'm Pepper Baker. Hours earlier, the TBI director says the man accused of murdering 4 family members and abandoning a baby in Dyer County is still on the run at this moment. His name is Austin Drummond. He's on Tennessee's most wanted list, and law enforcement believes he was near Jackson, Tennessee today. That is where we find ABC 24's Lauren Turman, who gives us an update on things following a news conference earlier today. Lauren, what did they say?
Lots of impactful statements made by those officials that you mentioned earlier today, Pepper. Specifically, some of them saying things like this has the entire community scared, has people scared in their home, and has caused great concern. Now, before we get into the details of all of it, I want to show you what's going on right now in this community. We're at the intersection of MCO and Farmington Road, where the 2016 white Audi that the suspect, Austin Drummond, was driving was found at this dead end. You can see a police vehicle that's kind of blocking where officers believe for his car to be found at this point. It is right next to a neighborhood, so it really speaks to the volume of all of these federal and local law enforcement agencies asking all of these residents to stay inside their homes. If they happen to see Austin Drummond, they don't want them to engage with him, but rather call those federal and local agencies like the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation so that they may come get him. Really, in totality, at this press conference today, they were asking for there to be a peaceful kind of peaceful transfer there if they were to eventually capture Austin Drummond. They want things to be peaceful, for him to peacefully surrender, and for there not to have any local law enforcement, federal law enforcement, or any of these neighbors or general citizens in the Jackson area be injured here. I want to run down some of the information for you that we know at this point. As a reminder of what happened, a baby was found abandoned in a car seat on a front yard in Dyer County just hours before 4 bodies were found in a wooded area along Carrington Road in neighboring Lake County, and that baby is now safe, investigators told us earlier today, but they do not believe this is a random act of violence. They're calling it a targeted incident, and the victims are identified as 21-year-old James Wilson, 20-year-old Adriana Williams, 38-year-old Courtney Rose, and 15-year-old Braden Williams. And District Attorney General Danny Goodman confirmed today that the baby's parents were victims, James Wilson and Adriana Williams, and Courtney Rose, who was also killed, was Adriana's and Braden Williams' mother. And all 4 of those victims lived in Dyer County. Officials also pointed to an act of humanity, saying that when the infant was dropped off, it was possibly before or after those murders, but they wouldn't confirm the exact timeline for us today. Goodman was calling Drummond an extremely violent individual, and U.S. Marshals say that their goal is for Drummond to peacefully surrender, as I mentioned earlier, because they want to law enforcement or any of the citizens. So you may be able to see some law enforcement coming out right now. I don't know if you might be able to see past this police vehicle right here, but law enforcement officers have been coming in and off of this road all day. They've been bearing guns. They've been searching and surveying the area, talking to some of the residents. As I mentioned earlier, there are houses right next to this dead end. And again, officials do believe that Austin Drummond is somewhere in the Jackson area, so they're asking everyone in the city to remain safe, to stay inside if possible, and again, do not engage with Drummond if they were to potentially see him, to again call federal and or local law enforcement there. So it's been very active. There's also been 2 helicopters that have been circling around this area since we've been here over the past several hours. Everybody is investigating, continuing. We asked several questions. Officers and officials weren't able to disclose some of the information, as this is still a very new and active investigation here. And again, you can see lots of different people. I don't know if you can see right there, but residents are quite concerned about things that are going on and have been asking us questions all day as they investigate the suspect, and they also learn more about the nature of the incident that happened here. I'm going to send it back to you, Pepper.
That area on high alert right now, Lauren, as we can all imagine. It's always an eerie feeling when a suspect hasn't been caught yet and this starts to get more news coverage. Now, I do want to ask you, Lauren, this isn't Drummond's first run-in with the law, so what is the extent of his criminal history? I know you've done some reporting on that.
So as we know it right now, we've, as you said, reported over the past several days that Drummond recently served 13 years in prison. He was released, as we understand it, last September. And a little bit more information there. He was initially arrested there on some aggravated robbery charges initially. We've been having more information and learning more information from federal investigators about the extent of his background there. He had some aggravated murder charges and other drug-related offenses that were said to have happened when he was serving his sentence in prison. We're not exactly sure about the timeline. When we followed up with investigators about that, they weren't able to disclose all of that information at the time. But this is certainly not Drummond's first run-in with the law, which is why they keep emphasizing to all of these residents here in Jackson that they should not engage with this man. He is believed to be armed and dangerous. And as they are searching for him, they're asking everyone to stay vigilant and very well prepared there. Pepper.
Most definitely, Lauren. We know that helicopters have been circling the area as well. As in your shot there, we can see just how many law enforcement agencies are around. Now, I know you mentioned that they aren't able to answer a lot of questions, but one big piece of this whole puzzle is how authorities may have found the bodies. I know it's a quite graphic question I'm about to ask you here, but have they given any information on the conditions the bodies were found in that could give some details on just the nature of the crime at all?
So earlier in that press conference, they did not, Pepper, and that was something that we were asking these investigators and officials that were presenting this information to us. We tried to ask some follow-ups, but we're often met with the response of, this is still an active investigation. We're still trying to put the pieces together. This has all been happening in a very short amount of time, so they weren't willing to at least disclose that, or have not told us if they know that information at this point. Again, just as a reminder, as we were stating earlier, those 4 bodies were found in a wooded area along Carrington Road in Tiptonville, which is in Lake County. So as we were asking these investigators these questions, we were often met with, this is still an active investigation and we will be able to provide that information to you at a later point. But at this point, we don't know much information about what might have led up to the transportation from these residents of Dyer County to Lake County, or at all what happened to them and eventually had their bodies found there in the Tiptonville area. Pepper?
Yeah, the priority right now is to find him. So I'm sure that information will come out as this investigation continues. Lauren, thank you. We're going to let you get back to work there as you continue doing a great job reporting on the ground for us. We're going to turn it now. The TBI, U.S. Marshals, and several law enforcement agencies had a lot to say today. So here's what they had to say about Austin Drummond.
This investigation began at the request of 29th District Attorney General Danny Goodman. I can tell you that our authorities, local, state, and federal, have been working on this since we got this call. The last confirmed sighting of the individual who is the suspect in this case at this time and is now wanted was on Wednesday in Jackson. The victims were discovered on Tuesday, July 29th, in a wooded area along Carrington Road in Tiptonville. Based on what we know at this time, we do not believe that this was a random act of violence. It appears, with all the information that we have, is that this was a targeted incident. This is why I think it's critical for us to reach out and appeal to Austin and those who may be assisting him to turn himself in, or for them to call us and let us know where he is so that we can bring him in to question him about what took place. We know, frankly, that based on information of the incident, that while this was an extremely tragic and violent event, that there was a sign of compassion, if you will, that we know happened, that tells us that there's a possibility that Austin may have a sense that that there is hope for him to be able to come in and have a conversation about what happened. And because of that, we're asking him to give us a call. Let us pick you up or bring yourself in. Find a legal representative and come by. And let us sit down and have a conversation about what happened.
But let me assure you of this. The U.S. Marshal Service will not stop until he is in custody. We have our whole team dedicated in prioritizing this incident, and it's not a matter of if, but a matter of when he's found. And it's not just here in West Tennessee, but we have support divisions at headquarters that are also assisting in this effort. So, as you know, there's been a reward offered, and to those who may know where he is, we don't care about where he may be, other than you giving us the information, and you will get paid, no questions asked. So that is the priority, is for him to turn himself in. But if not, then that reward does stand, and we will gladly take him into custody.
And just reiterating what the first investigator said there about the humanitarian sign of sparing the baby, but we also I think it's important to always talk about the victims as well. We're talking about Courtney Rose, a 38-year-old woman, Adriana Williams, 20 years old, Braden Williams, 15 years old, and James Wilson, 21 years old. So Adriana Williams and James Wilson were parents to the baby that was abandoned, and we learned that Courtney Rose, the 38-year-old woman, was the mother of Adriana and Braden Williams. So just a whole family here we're talking about that has just been a casualty of this tragedy. Now, we do want to break down the timeline of exactly what happened up to this point. Tuesday, the Dyer County Sheriff's Office posted on Facebook a call for help identifying an abandoned baby. Deputies say around 3 that afternoon, they got a call that someone in a dark minivan or white SUV left the child in a car seat outside and took off. This happened at a stranger's house on Old Highway 20 near the Tigard area. About an hour later, the department updated the post saying they identified the baby. They also named Courtney Rose, Matthew Wilson, and Adriana Williams as 3 people they wanted to question about this case. Later that evening, the Dyer County Sheriff's Office announced the abandoned baby was part of a case in Lake County. That's where investigators found 4 people dead on Carrington Road in Tiptonville. Wednesday morning, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation identified the victims as James Wilson, Braden Williams, Courtney Rose, and Adriana Williams. The TBI confirmed they are related to the abandoned baby. Then Thursday, the TBI identified Austin Drummond as the suspect in this case. He's now on Tennessee's most wanted list. Well, now let's go through today's developments. Law enforcement found Drummond's car in the woods off MCO Road in Madison County, where our Lauren Turman just reported live from. A $15,000 reward is being offered for information leading to his arrest. Investigators believe Drummond is still in the Jackson area. And again, there's a $15,000 reward for information leading to Austin Drummond's arrest. Investigators do believe that he is armed and dangerous. He has a criminal background, a criminal history that we have reported on. They say do not approach him. Instead, call 911 or 800 TBI find. You do not have to give your name. Please stay with ABC 24 News at 10 o'clock and our website, abc24.com, as we stay on top of every development as it unfolds. But that's going to do it for us for now. Thank you for watching.
Continue with us and watch free now on the 24 Plus app everywhere you stream.